Howdy crypto friends, hope you're well. We had all that volatility 2 days ago. Since then, things have been cooling down. We're going to look at Tether, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, MDA, OMDQ, KC, and ADA. And those are from some member votes that we took. I'm on top of the world, coming back from the beach, finally getting some good waves and ready to get back into it. So on Tether, we did get back to, at least USDT, USD, we did get back to right about that $1 mark, just underneath it, and then we pulled back again. So the bulls are trying to slowly make their way back towards that level, and it feels odd calling it bulls and the bears. We should say normalization is trying to make its way back to that level, and we have an equilibrium to be watching. So essentially, right now the FUD has blown over, and everybody pointing out that it was just FUD. Some people that were able to counteract their emotions and get into some trades and enter some short positions in crypto world were able to benefit from that. A lot of people bought the Tether dip, which was also a smart decision. Again, it took some fortitude to do that, but it ended up playing out pretty well. So that's blown over for now. Again, for me personally, my lack of fundamental understanding of exactly what's going on behind the scenes of Tether is what has me hesitant. It could be the wrong opinion, absolutely. I'm well aware of that. But for me, I'm not going to risk significant capital into something that I can't see behind the curtain on. And for some people, they can see behind the curtain enough for them to be comfortable, and that's fine. It's just not the case for me, and that's a personal decision, and everybody's going to vary with their levels of comfortability. Also with how much capital you're putting on. I would easily put on a couple $1,000s into anything that was exposed to Tether, but I'm not going to put 5-6 figures into something that's exposed to Tether. That's just me personally. And again, everybody can have their own personal opinion and still be just right. So Bitcoin, daily inside bar, pretty much a sure thing. So we'll watch to see how this daily inside bar breaks tomorrow. I did enter a position on a bull break of an earlier hourly equilibrium. So here we had the high of the breakout, low of consolidation, and a lower high, higher low. And I entered this bull break of 64.25. We got a little bit of follow through, not much. And then I moved my stop up to this low of 64.08. And I was just recently stopped out, an extremely small loss, didn't really move the account much at all. So back to all cash, and was just trying to get into a position just in case we saw the bulls make a push up into this void of resistance and see, $100 or $200 move would have made it worth it for me. But not seeing that, I only lost 20 something dollars on that pullback. So back to being patient for me. And why I like this Coinbase chart now, rather than the charts that are exposed to Tether and saw those pumps into the $7,000 range, is because of this double top. And because it's so clear at this point that 68.23 and 68.10 are the resistance levels to be watching in the short term. So I'm going to continue watching Bitcoin on Coinbase for that fact. We'll certainly be checking in on other exchanges. There's still arbitrage going on as we're slowly seeing the normalization of all of these exchanges. And right now we're going to patiently be watching for a break of this daily inside bar tomorrow. So again, back to sitting on my hands, back to the longer term patterns in terms of the weekly timeframes dictating whether I trade or not. Still actively trading Canadian MJ, a bunch of names just hit all-time highs. There's a lot of volatility in the market right now. The tech sector, significant bounce after the dump last week. So I don't need crypto right now. It'll be nice when crypto is back in the prime time spotlight, but there's certainly other stuff going on until then. So we've got the ETH inside bar. Let's actually get the range on Bitcoin inside bar. 63.75 support, 64.93 resistance. That's what we're watching for tomorrow. For Ethereum, it's 202.10 support and 207.97 resistance. And again, don't even really need to go into much more detail. It's very correlated to Bitcoin at this point, but we have not lost the higher lows on the hourly. So that is notable. 202.69 and 203 are these higher lows, which are still holding. So a slight difference in the short term. You can see Bitcoin on the hourly did get that flush down and stop losses triggered and a bit of a recovery. So the fact that Ethereum has not lost the hourly uptrend at this point is a slight difference. XRP daily inside bar. So 45.47 is support and 48.81 is resistance. Has the hourly uptrend been lost? And the answer is no. It's a nice equilibrium. High of the break. Let's get our magnets on. We got our high of the break, low of the pullback, lower high, and a higher low just barely held, essentially a double bottom. So most important support, 4634, 4632 as this double bottom, and the bulls need to break 473 for a clear bull break. MDA BTC, daily time frame, inside bar bear break. So unavailable to short this name, but clearly profit taking is going on. The 4-hour uptrend was lost here, and that was lost on this candlestick that has led to lower highs and lower lows. And in order to see a daily higher low form, because we are absolutely anticipating that a daily higher low will form, the first signal is an hourly trend change. So a higher low and a higher high on the hourly is a potential signal that our daily higher low has been set. If the bulls want to play more conservative and make the bulls prove it more, we would look for a 4-hour trend change to indicate the daily higher low has been set. Multiple 4-hour inside bars. Again, it's worth watching, and the reason it's worth watching, look at MOD BTC. This is essentially something similar that we're going to be looking for. We had the high, a huge pullback all the way down to, let's see where we ended up pulling back. We had the high up at 256 and the low 14.4. Huge pullback, about 40%. And we're looking for this higher low now. So we've already bounced from the low of 14.4 up to 16.4. So that's a significant 10% plus bounce. And we are looking for the higher low and then a bounce and then a lower high and a daily equilibrium to form. When you have this breakout and this wide range, the equilibrium is the most likely scenario. So the hourly trend change, higher low and then bull break over resistance of 15.47 was the signal of the hourly trend change, which again is signal number one that the daily higher low has been established. And the play there, if you made the bull break entry on 15.47, let's call it 15.5, your stop would be below 14.46. And let's now see if we can get this higher low and higher high follow through and set this lower high on the daily time frame in the equilibrium. So MOD BTC is potentially a little bit of a glimpse into the future of what to be watching for on MDA BTC, but I do believe that we need MDA to pull back a bit more before we establish that higher low. The high was up at 4.3, the pullback right now down to 2.7, so that's a significant pullback, about 30+% perhaps. So keep an eye out for a similar setup. QKC BTC, daily higher low still intact. New support is 1009. And anything above that keeps the bulls in full control on this daily time frame. We're coming up to test resistance. It's a potential top fishing play with 1111. And if we cannot break that level, look at the 4-hour time frame. And actually, it was a quick dip down. But if we cannot break that level, we'll watch for the potential of a daily equilibrium. So we have the high, low. If we cannot break to get over that resistance, we'll look for a lower high and then a higher low and a tightening range on this daily chart. And the 4-hour time frame, you can see we are in consolidation mode. Big, long, lower wick. And the bulls have now shifted that momentum on the 4-hour. So a couple resistances, 10.7 and 10.95 before that 1111 resistance level approaches. So overall, bulls still holding on after that quick flush. They did buy that dip and responded well to those stops triggering. But it's all about the resistance test. And if we cannot break that level, again, tightening pattern worth watching. But if we look at the weekly chart, we've now seen multiple weeks in a row of upside, lose the daily uptrend, and we start to see weekly consolidation. We're going to anticipate that it's going to be healthy weekly consolidation to establish a higher low, but we are due after 6 green weeks. So a weekly inside bar is forming, but if we lose the daily uptrend, that will be the signal that weekly consolidation is coming. ADABTC, daily chart, clear lower high, lower low pattern. So if we look at that on the 4-hour time frame, we can see we're just now getting over exponential resistances, which have been rejecting the price. But as far as I'm concerned, as long as we can't break 1171, that's just a lower high, and that's a key resistance level. So 1171, and we're also looking up at 1156, the current top of this move. So in order to convincingly change this trend, again, this bounce is coming straight off the low on the 4-hour time frame. So the 4-hour trend has not changed. It's just a bounce that's looking to potentially set a lower high. We will need the higher low and then the break of the lower highs to change this daily or this 4-hour trend to try and change the daily trend. Because again, we had a clear equilibrium here. And let's actually see if it was a perfect equilibrium. Looks like we got a little bull break by just barely. And if we see, once we see a break of that support level, you can see the bears clearly shifted momentum and took over. As far as the weekly time frame is concerned, this is one of those scenarios where the bulls have to hold the low and then break 1389 to change the long-term weekly trend. So the must-hold support level is down here at 969. Weekly chart needs to change this daily trend, form the weekly higher low, and then see the trend change. Otherwise, the bears keep complete control. And just to look at all these names on the weekly chart, again, we just looked at QKC that was overextended, I should say, and weekly inside bar for MOD BTC, and for MDA BTC, weekly inside bar. So you can see there's similarities between those two. So all in all, inside bars on the daily time frame across the board, remaining patient. It was a great reminder the past couple of days how quickly the bulls can show up and see a 10% move and significantly shift things on these longer term time frames. But it wasn't enough. So we are still patiently waiting. A lot of people asking me about the backed exchange that's coming. Absolutely, that's a potential catalyst, but keep in mind it's a known event. We know it's coming. The only way that it's going to have a significant impact, in my opinion, is number one, if the news media goes crazy over it, which is hard to imagine. Number two, if we see significant institutional investors use that platform to begin loading up these cryptocurrencies. In my opinion, they're probably already loading. I'm not sure. I don't have the in-depth knowledge of what is required for these large institutional investors. It's hard for me to imagine that if they wanted to be loading Bitcoin right now, they would not have a means of doing so. But there is a possibility maybe there's some kind of legal hurdle with they need the appropriate custodian, something like that, that would allow the backed exchange to give them that access. But again, hard to imagine that if big money wants in Bitcoin around 6,000, that they're not finding a way to do that. So I don't think it's going to be a huge catalyst, but it can't hurt is the bottom line. Fidelity just came out, and that was yesterday's news, I believe. Fidelity is going to be launching their crypto platform, and we knew that was coming too. Fidelity has been talking about how it is pro-cryptocurrency. Months ago, they were talking about how they were building this. So again, when it comes out, we'll see if the influence on the market is going to, pretty much my opinion is the influence on the market has to be from the actual buying that's occurring on these exchanges and platforms, and not just the fact that these platforms are here now. That's not enough. So that's where we stand. Let's look at GBTC. This is the stock, the investment trust, and look at the clear downtrend here. Now let's look at the weekly time frame. So this is premium eroding, even though the price of Bitcoin is not dropping this low, below these levels. We have multiple weeks breaking below support, and that's not happening on Bitcoin. So this is premium eroding, and this is why it's not an ideal trading instrument. And the fact that it's continuing to drop without Bitcoin dropping, obviously that's probably going to be frustrating to a lot of people. But the last thing I want to be doing is holding something that has such a high premium and can trade independent of what the underlying asset is supposed to be doing. So I want an ETF that's going to trade tick for tick with what Bitcoin is doing and not have this premium, because again, the premium sometimes can have this name outrunning Bitcoin or in the opposite effect to the downside as well. And it is very notable. It's an extremely clear downtrend on this chart, and it's not even that clear on Bitcoin's chart itself. So that's where we stand as we head into tomorrow. Daily inside bars is the bottom line. Still working on that storefront, getting that up. We will have shirts, t-shirts, and sweatshirts and stuff available for you guys. And we're working on that nonprofit, just the paperwork we're waiting on with the bureaucratic red tape. And then we'll have all that nonprofit go towards whatever we decide. We'll probably vote on something with the community, and I'll let you all know when that's up and running. So I appreciate you watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Do good things. Here's Nerdbird.